Grognard back again, and this time I want to talk about campaign worlds or worlds for your role-playing game. Now, I'm pretty much going to concentrate on D&D type fantasy and all those other variants, etc., etc. But I did want to include all the other genres. I just don't have the resources to do it, and some of them are what I call locked, where you kind of like either it's the modern world or you use the game settings world or something like that. I know a lot of creative DMs and GMs have probably, you know, broken that rule, broken that lock and just done their own thing. But, if you're going to do like a spy campaign, you pretty much want to do it on modern day Earth or something like that. Or if it's a genre thing like gangbusters, 1920s. Ghostbusters is another good example. I mean, you have the movies, and that pretty much sets the tone right there in the world you're dealing with. But it can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be New York City. Well, as far as worlds, campaign worlds made out of whole cloth for your characters to run around in, as far as swords and sorcery and fantasy, a lot of people have come up with their own, which is not a bad thing. I mean, I get the urge to use a published campaign world, but at the same time, I have my own world or worlds. The first one I came up with was this one. It's called Skye, S-K-Y-E, and it's basically three continents, or rather one continent with three nations in it, a big old sea, and a bunch of city-states and, the usual sword and sorcery thing. I later came up with another one I use currently called Earth, E-R-F. It's on a continent called Europe, Y-U-R-P, and it's basically more of the same, but it gives you something to run around with, and the nice thing is you can populate it any way you want. And I'm sure there's there's not really rules on how to set up your own game world, but there are guidelines. Like if you want to make it, if you want the rivers to run backwards instead of forwards, you better come up with a good reason why, just for the sake of consistency. Your world can be fantastic, but you still have to have some consistency in that fanaticism, otherwise it's all chaos, if you know what I mean. Let me go over the available, well, I'm an old school guy, but let me go over what kind of worlds that were published. First of all, one of my favorites that I like to use is Judges Guild, Wilderlands of High Fantasy. And this is the first book, The City-State of the Invincible Overlord. This has been redone, published a couple of times. This is the original Judges Guild one. There was also one done by Chessex that I hear isn't very good, or Mayfair rather, isn't very good. There's a D20 version out there, and that's pretty much the main one, the main city in the whole thing. And if you can find them, there are maps for the different worlds. There's region books out there for Judges Guild. You just got to look. As far as TSR goes, the original and the first one was The World of Greyhawk. This is the revised box set. This is the original portfolio version, minus the box, of course. I don't have the box. It's your basic AD&D first edition. It's got a lot of history to it because Gary started with this with Castle Gygax, and it just expanded out from there. I could never warm up to it, to tell you the truth. I read through this, and there's a lot of political intrigue going on. A lot of political intrigue, and it just made my head spin. I don't mind that kind of stuff, but I want adventure! Adventure! And so I don't really play around with Greyhawk or anything. They got a couple of good things in there, but I usually mostly use them as inspiration. And we all remember this one, the Rule Cyclopedia. Their published world, you'll find beautiful color maps in the back of Mystara. Beautiful color maps. And it's even got the Hollow World in there if you want to go that way. Here's some of the hex maps. Um, and that's where the earliest modules took place. So the world of Mystara, or as they call it at the time, the known world. And they also have 14 gazetteers, which each deals with a section of Mystara. This is the first one, the Grand Duchy of Karabikos. Good place to start. There are also out there, if you go to the vaultofpandius.com, you will find fan-made gazetteers for that world for areas they didn't cover. There's also other campaign worlds like Dark. So if you want to go like really out, really out there, you've got Dark Sun, which is sort of a I don't want to say post-apocalyptic, but it's like a desert world. Dune meets Mad Max meets, Conan type stuff. I mean, the magic is really, they have magic, but that's why they have a desert planet, is because the high and mighty mages kind of ruined the world with the magic. It depleted the magic, so mages aren't really too too well thought of. It's basically what they call a crapsack world. I've never used it. I've never wanted to adventure in it. If I want to do that, I'll play like Gamma World or Gettin Future or something like that. And the biggie from TSR, the Forgotten Realms. The Forgotten Realms campaign setting. Now, a lot of people complain about the Forgotten Realms because they think it's ultra high fantasy, which means like there's a magic shop in every corner. You got a bunch of high mages. Everybody can throw practically everything can throw magic. Da 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 da. But it's still a great place to adventure. They also say it's been too well documented, which I don't really believe. Yes, it is well documented, but any DM worth his salt can take it and do something with it, if you know what I mean. Oh, I forgot one more. Hang on. This came out around 3rd edition. Eberron. I kind of have the warm fuzzies for this one because I never got to play in it, and I don't like 3E, but if I can convert it back to 2E or first or even basic, that'd be great because it's got a great premise. It's pulp D&D, a lot of action, and they've got some interesting classes in here. They've got like what they call Warforged, which is basically you're playing a sentient robot, a magical sentient golem, which I like, and a few other races in here. And you'll find adventure around every corner, that kind of thing. So if you're jonesing for like an Indiana Jones type experience in D&D, I think this is the place to go. They also have a Savage World conversion of this, by the way. And as far as making your own world, let's see. A lot of people like to start from what they call the bottom up or the top down. Bottom up is where you put a piece of hex map out there, hex paper, and say, okay, here's the town. Here's some ruins you can explore. Here's a dungeon that people wonder about. And here's a forest over here which has an old abandoned mage's tower in there. Go for it and begin. And then as the characters, as you play in it, the DM expands a little more. He'll say something in the adventure like, oh, well, the orcs of Garbage Town over there attacked the town. Well, the DM never said where Garbage Town was or what it was, but after the adventure, he'll sit out and go, okay, I need Garbage Town. Let's see. I'll put it over here and this and that. And the other thing, by the end of the next adventure, you've got stats for Garbage Town, and that's how the world grows. Other people do top down. I have a feeling like a lot of old Traveler and space opera guys do this, where you take the nation, boom, as a whole. Okay, here's the major cities, here's the major continents and stuff like that, and let's just drill down in one area for now. That's the top-down way of doing it. I can never warm up to that because I don't like making whole planets. I'll make something, like this, that's a big enough area. If it fit an 8.5 by 11 sheet, that's enough area for the characters to fool around in. And as far as like scale, I hear if you're doing hexes, 60 miles per hex is a pretty good distance. I'm really lousy at distance. Lousy. There was a there was a running gag when I was running Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay with one of my old groups that they got into a swamp, and I told them it took 2 days to go through the swamp. And then they came at it from a different angle, and I said, okay, it's 2 days. And so the running gag was Glenn's 2-day swamp. No matter how you hit it, no matter where you go, it takes you 2 days to get through there. Okay, fine, whatever. Like I said, I'm lousy at that, but you're probably better. 60 miles seems 60. I hear 16 to 24 miles per hex is good, especially if you're doing a hex crawl, and that's some good stuff. But I told on Save or Die, I said I don't go top down or bottom up. I go sideways. I make some towns and stuff, and if they want to know somewhere else, I tell them they can't. It's not ready, or it's what's over the mountain. You don't know. Well, can we go over the mountain? Not yet. I know that's kind of like, I won't call it railroading, but at least limiting the characters. But at least I got an idea where they're going, so I can actually sit down and figure it out. So it's kind of to me, it's kind of a sideways thing. So that's pretty much my advice I have for doing worlds or using a established world. Remember, if you're using an established world, you're not required to lockstep and do everything. Even in Forgotten Realms, where some players get their panties in a wad because, oh, he wouldn't act like that. Oh, that wouldn't happen. When does this happen? You make up, adapt it to you. Don't you adapt to the material. You adapt the material to you. And that's how you make a great campaign. And that's pretty much it. So next time we'll have another topic. And if you got any advice or anything you want to advise on this, any thoughts on campaign worlds and things like that, write me at oldmangrognard@gmail.com, and I will read them on the air, right here on the video actually. So take care, guys. Game more, and I'll see you later. Bye.